Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we've got a bit of a fun episode we're going to be talking about. And before we really dive into what this episode is about, we wanted to let you know that after lots of pushing internally from our own crew, as well as from a lot of you all, we are finally starting a podcast. So this will be one of the episodes in our new podcast series. We'll be on Spotify and Apple. So if you don't want to sit around and just watch us talking at a desk about nerdy bike stuff, go ahead and check out the podcast. We'll put a link down below and you can go check that out and listen to it while you're road raging on your way home from work. So with that said, this episode today, we have got Cole, Robert over in Scotland, and myself here. I'm Drew. We will be talking about MTB trends, and we're going to be doing this kind of old school style. I'm dating myself, but hot or not. That is how we're going to be doing this. Each of us have our own lists of trends that stood out. They might be good trends. They might be trends that are really annoying. And we are going to share them with ourselves and then with you and vote on if we think they're hot or they should get buried out in the desert. So, Robert, you want to lead the way first? Let's see what trends have stuck out to you this year.
Yeah, look at this professional setup. Let's hear this radio voice.
How am I sounding, guys? Yes, I think the biggest standout thing for me this year has been pedal kickback and the whole chat around it and all the devices that have come out and solutions that people are using to try and reduce the amount of feedback that's ultimately coming through the pedals on a bike. So pedal kickback devices, let's go with like front of the bike devices, your O-chains, your rim pack chain dampers. They hot or not?
They serve a purpose, I think.
Extra hot.
Extra hot, yep.
Extra hot. Mary.
How many different ones have you used?
I've had a little bit of time on the O-chain and then a lot of time on the rim packed. And
no hub devices yet for you?
No hub devices. I guess I've spent quite a bit of time on the 18 point of engagement DT Swiss hubs in the past, which is pretty much the same thing. If not quite. But none of the active chain feedback reducing devices that have come out for rear hubs this year.
Sure.
Forgive me for interrupting this. I'm old and new. I don't know podcasts. I feel like how loud he is going to be picked up by this microphone and then going to be an echo situation.
Well, Boomer, we did a test prior to this to make sure that it sounded okay. And if it's echoey, then that's just an excuse that I get to go do some shopping. So
I can't hear myself for what it's worth.
They just keep me in the back and they're like, hey, get the old guy now. He's ready for his cameo. All right. So
this is a work in progress, folks.
To kind of get into my thoughts on the pedal kickback situation just very slightly, there are probably some people out there who follow our reviews and maybe work for some bike companies who are tired of hearing me talking about pedal kickback, why I don't love VPP suspension platforms in certain applications and certain types of terrain. I am a big advocate for smooth, supple suspension platforms and suspension that prioritizes downhill performance, braking performance over pedaling performance. So to me, I am loving the trend. Bring on the downhill performance. Mm-hmm. I'm okay suffering a bit more on the uphills because I want the downhills to be as good as they can be. So, yes, very hot.
I think a lot of these devices too, other than rim pack, which I don't know if rim pack is adjustable. Is it, Rob?
Not really. You can get two different styles of like stiffnesses of spring for it, but outside of that, it's mainly unadjustable.
Okay, so with like the O-chain, you can turn it off, so you're essentially having no impact on your climbing other than like the added weight. And then same thing with a lot of these hub-driven devices. It's not really impacting your climbing as much as like say an O-chain fully open. Like you can when you do that like half crank stop pedal and you have to wait for it to re-engage, you can really feel it and it affects you. But I don't really think they're doing much affecting uphill performance outside of really just the O-chain or the rim packed in sense.
If you guys could pick...
Sorry,
go ahead, Rob.
The rim packed is wild when you first get on it. The feeling when you're soft pedaling it of just the like springs catching up with you and then disengaging is crazy. Like everyone who hopped on the bike was like, "What on earth's going on with your bike? Like this is horrible." But then when you actually get it onto a climb, you've got enough force going through your pedals to the point that it fully engages, bottoms out, and then you don't really feel it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think, if you're doing really techie, low speed stuff,
Your favorite stuff.
well, I mean, like if I was either in like desert, like real true desert stuff, or like, old school BC stuff where you're like doing like kind of like the half crank, like wheelie drops off of stuff, that would be where it would be scary, and a downside. But again, whether it's a kickback device mitigation system or polarizing geometry or suspension platforms, I like the fact that different products are made differently for different applications. If everything was just made to work in one place, then like there would be so many people that would have to compromise a bike just because a bike is built to do well in the Pacific Northwest. So yeah, if you love doing wheelie drops off skinny ladder bridges at like 1 mile an hour, like probably you don't want or need, and would not benefit from having a kickback device. But if you're charging over washboards or like super chunky stuff in the desert or routes, that are like slowing down your speed and giving you a lot of feedback and fatigue, then it's a no-brainer to me.
Okay, so here's one. You talk about in the desert, you're descending over choppy washboard stuff. Agreed. Supple suspension platform, as little feedback as you can have going through the rear wheel and into your feet is going to be a benefit. But having ridden in places like Sedona with you and personally struggling on the climbs because they're so technical and awkward, and you're trying to, ratchet your way through chunky rock, do you also want a high engagement hub?
I mean, in a place like, yeah, for example, Sedona, where you have like those stair-steppy features, I would personally turn it down, right? Because also in Sedona, you don't have very long or sustained descents. You're not bashing descent at full speed like Spinal Tap, right? Like, or where you've got like a 4, 5, 6 minute long descent that's just like abusing you. Their descents are like at best, 2, maybe 3 minutes if it's a long one. So to me, if I was going on a trip like that, I would just turn the O-chain down to the minimal, assist, and that would give you that kind of quick, snappy pedal engagement. But yeah, it's definitely a valid point for sure, Rob.
Forgive me, how much delay does the E13, like the Sidekick, have? And DEG conversion? Is there any delay in pedal there?
I do not remember what that number is off the top of my head, or what the degree is, but yeah, it would be.
The E13 is tunable for sure. I want to say it's like 12, 15, or 18 degrees, something in
That's
that range.
I was thinking somewhere in there. Yeah. So
But,
I don't know,
yeah,
man. I
like,
mean, I think
notable.
yeah, I think it's something that's worth considering for a lot of riders. But yeah, like I said, it's application dependent for sure.
All right, moving on.
Next trend.
I got one, and I don't know. It's not necessarily just this year, I would say, but it's something, and maybe it's just my local zone that I've been seeing a lot, is trail full faces.
Okay.
Seeing a lot of people, especially on e-bikes, riding lightweight full face helmets. Like way more this year than I remember seeing in previous years.
Well, you touch on e-bikes, and I think they make so much sense. Like, I live in a zone where you're descending through like steep, rough enduro trails, like no matter where you go, really, to ride. And on the e-bike, like, it makes perfect sense to be wearing them and getting that extra protection, and you don't really pay for it on the climbs much, if at all. That said, I've not worn one like since the e-bike shoot up.
Have you worn like your DH full face on e-bike, or just no full face in general speaking?
Just open helmets. And maybe I'm just a hypocrite, but I don't exactly know why that is. I've got a Pro Frame RS, like I walk past and grab my speed frame. So
no, I'm the same way. I've been using actual downhill helmet now that it's gotten colder, keeping my ears warm because my ears just feel like they're going to fall off as soon as it gets below 60 degrees. So,
Interesting. So then the trend for you is a not, or I mean, you like
no,
it, but
I
you
like it, but I'm also kind of in Robert's boat. I think if I'm going on a mental work pedal, meaning like I'm logging miles to get notes on a product, half shell. But if I'm going out to film, since I do prefer the chin mount over the chesty or like the bird's eye view, I'll grab the full face to do the filming with.
Okay. I am, I would say on an e-bike, unless it's like a really, like a more casual, you know, like 140-ish bike or under, you know, 150 maybe even and under, I'm almost always in a full face. The Pro Frame is kind of my go-to pick for anything e-bike. And then if I am pedaling, you know, like a non-e-bike, I would say it's a 50-50 depending on where I'm going and how big of a day it is and what travel bike I'm on. But I'm personally a big fan and a big believer. And after I, you know, had a recent face slam not too long ago, that was kind of like the, you know, it's not that much hotter or that
That's what I
much
was gonna say. Are you paying that much aside from the psychology of like I'm wearing a full face, this is gonna suck to pedal in, that we're still left with from, you know, helmets 5 years ago?
Like I said, the biggest inconvenience to me is not heat or airflow, it's drinking water.
Yeah.
Like that is, and it's not even that big of an inconvenience, but it just is one.
Yeah, because you're still a fanny pack water guy or bike on versus
yeah.
water
I mean, if
vest.
I am carrying water, then yeah.
The water vest with a little string and just right up under.
True. Yeah, I don't.
Or
I'm not a
one
big,
of those, is it Layat that made the bottle with the hose?
yeah, the sippy hose.
I'm
That'd
pretty
be.
sure there's one of those in the office.
There is, yeah. I know we gave one away to one of our members for a members review, and he did actually like it. So, all right. Well, next trends. You know what? I will kind of keep in line with your topic, Rob, because I also had pedal kickback reduction on my list, but I'll kind of take it a step further because those devices were there. But lower anti-squats, that's a trend. I would like to hear what you guys think about lower anti-squats.
I mean, I'm for it.
Okay, Robert?
Yes, with the caveat that I want to also be a princess and be given an electronically controlled rear shock to go with that to get the best out of it. Because I don't like pedaling a low anti-squat bike with no lockout, and I don't like reaching down for a climb switch.
You are a princess.
Do you think your mass, right? So your weight over mine, I'm 170 or what, 215, 220 of solid Scottish muscle. Does a lower anti-squat value affect your pedal bob more than mine, or is it equal for the weight? Like, are you getting the same amount of travel in as I am at my proper sag, if I'm explaining that correctly?
It's a little bit too late in the day for me to run the math, but I'm pretty sure it scales. So, like, the higher your input force that you would need to propel your higher weight, the more resistance to squatting you get. So, therefore, it should stay pretty equal. The thing that's going to change is your center of gravity, which is acting on the system. And
that's true, right? Because you've got very long legs, so your seat's way higher than mine.
Yeah. So when your center of gravity is higher and also further back on the bike, you're putting a different extra leverage on the system, and then therefore you probably need more anti-squat to balance out a rider with a higher center of gravity.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, shouldn't be a surprise since I talked about it already, but I think that trend is hot and I'm into it. And it's very interesting to me that, you know, bikes that I have maybe been critical of in reviews, when the next generation of that bike comes out, you know, even if commenters who own the bike or maybe even the brands are like, oh man, I don't know, I think it's not that bad, you know. It's very interesting how often the next generation of bike, the marketing claim is, we've reduced anti-squat for an even better performing suspension on the descents. And I'm like, that's interesting. Like every year, every generation, bikes keep getting lower and lower anti-squats. And
Do you want one, something with zero and fully electronically controlled?
No, no, I wouldn't want to go there, but
Like to the extreme?
I mean, like here's a prime example actually of a bike, Yeti, right? A brand who they've had good bikes. We've liked them. They're maybe not like my cup of tea. At least they hadn't been. Their new, I think it's the MTE, which just won our SLE bike shootout, right? Is the lowest anti-squat bike they have ever produced.
I think the
And
LTE went another step beyond that.
yes, sorry. Yeah, it could be the LTE. It's one or the other. I thought.
I seem to remember them saying the more assistance you get from the motor, the less anti-squat you get given.
Yep, and look what it meant, right? It meant someone like myself who maybe is a little more overly critical of pedal feedback loved the bike, you know. So, yeah, I'm a fan of low anti-squat, but again, that's just me as a downhill, choppy terrain biased rider. So,
It's definitely a trend as well, because we have seen it across multiple brands. Orbea, I think, for me, is quite a prime example with the new Rayon, where they basically say that you need to run a electronic shock on that thing to get it to pedal well. They do sell it without one, but yeah, it's definitely cool to see the way that bike companies are designing the bikes now
I
to
think
work with those systems.
Leads us into another trend I think probably all of us maybe have is electronic suspension.
I was going with another trend, which is modular bikes.
That it goes both ways.
Okay, let's talk about electronic suspension first.
In the privileged chair that I sit in, I love electronic suspension. When I put my consumer hat on, I could care less. Like, until I was like racing or really trying to geek out some sort of performance value. But even then, I can't tell you the last time I used a climb switch to like actually get better climbing performance. And I'd rather just slog up and I think the last time I actually used a climb switch was on my range in like 2022.
Wow. A bike that definitely needed it.
A bike that definitely needed it. I'm just like so indifferent to it. And I don't know if that's because maybe I have a slow cadence. I'm not pressing, I'm not like getting as much like momentum movement and bobbing, but I love the electronic suspension. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would actually invest in it for
If
myself.
it was half the price that it is, would you?
If it was the same price as normal suspension, I think I would still opt for normal suspension.
Really?
Because I think, so my reasoning there, it's two-sided. We don't have the switch from Fox yet for their live valve for consumers. So I can't manually override it. That's the thing that stops me, is I want a manual override or I want a setting 1, 2, 3 or firm or extra firm. I want manual control over that. Okay. And until that happens, I don't think I would jump ship to electronic suspension. Okay. As good as it is, because live valve is, I spent a lot of time on it. It's really good. And on the Rayon, like awesome, like made a huge difference. But
okay.
Not for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Robert, how about you?
My hotness for it comes with, I guess, some romantic element where I haven't actually spent any time on Neo, and I've only spent a tiny bit of time on Flight Attendant. So, the theory behind it for me is incredible, especially when we get to the stage where we've got a bar operated like changeable modes and like manual selection and deselection when you want it. But I don't actually know. So I am actually waiting for Fox to hopefully get me one of the Neo coil shocks to go on the Rayon Enduro that I've got coming.
Yeah.
For me, the Live Valve Neo coil is the best use case scenario for that application. Again, right? I love a smooth, supple bike off the top, and the coil gives that feeling so well. But then when you've got the ability for that Live Valve Neo to like firm up and give you some more pedal platform, man, I think that is a very stellar combination. But it's a huge price investment, and you know, just financially, I'm not in a position to where I could justify spending that kind of money to be like, for a non-competitive, non-racing,
Yeah.
my life income,
You're also not the techie super.
but right. But as that, I still love it.
True. Yeah.
Right. Like, cause it's not that hard or techie to do, but like like the performance benefits are there. They're real. I love it. I wouldn't pay for it at this point because of how expensive it is, and I just don't have the budget. If I had the money, like, and people ask, right? I'm like, if you've got the money and this isn't gonna like hurt you financially, you will appreciate it. If you don't,
Okay.
you don't have to have it.
So if we think about the kind of consumer, like the level of consumer, the level of budget that the rider who's going to be weighing up, like whether it's a worthwhile investment, if you're in the $14,000 bracket, you're going to get it anyway. If you're in the $3,000 bracket, you don't have a chance. But like that, maybe like Performance Elite or just jumping into Factory as like a tier consumer. Do you think it would be worthwhile for them to downgrade the rest of the bike in order to get it?
No. And I'm going to circle back to something last year that was one of my standouts of the year. I would say take that money and go to a skills camp like that Aaron Gwynn and Dakota Norton camp I went to. Like, I would say almost for any product, period, right? Like, even if you had base level suspension and you're like, should I upgrade to, Performance Elite or Factory or, whatever, I say, no. Like, you're probably not overriding the capability of the bike, right? I'm not overriding the capability of almost every bike I get on. So it's like, what will help me more than carbon wheels or this suspension or this brake is going and learning how to properly find braking points, how to generate traction, how to generate speed, how to pick better, safer lines that end up being faster, reduce my chance of getting hurt so I can ride more, and then get faster. That is a way better investment of your money than Live Valve Neo or any other bike upgrade, in my opinion.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, and I will say not all coaching and tutoring is the same, right? Like, I'm not saying like, don't just go find some, bike bum camping out in his van with a flyer, like, and say like, yeah, I'll pay you $250. Let's do this.
Yeah, exclusively stick to your World Cup level racers for your trip.
Or retired World Cup racers. No, I'm not saying that either, but like, I would definitely say you want like a reputable, accredited instructor who, because I mean, dude, I've ridden with pro riders and like many, right? And sometimes you'll ask them for advice and like, their advice is like, sweet, just like go faster and like turn more. And you're like, that didn't really help me, dude, right? So it's like you could be not as great of a rider and amazing at instructing, right? And it's, I think just talking to brands and like, guys who work for suspension companies, right? Like Jordy at Fox. I'm sure there's a number of athletes that he has, and I know he's talked about them. Like, I'll ask an athlete, like, what are you feeling out of the suspension? And some guys are like, let me get this spreadsheet out. And some guys are like, maybe stiff, I don't know. And he's like, okay, let me just do this,
Yeah.
So being a good rider doesn't always mean you're a good tester or a good coach.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen footage of Jordy like just doing a fake click on a suspension, give it back to an athlete and being like, on you go, it's better now. And they're like, yeah. Thanks, Jordy. That's great.
Yeah.
You mentioned frame modularity, Drew.
Yes, I did. Huge fan.
I'm gonna say that you think that's hot, and I very much agree.
Yep. Agreed.
Super hot. Okay, what are the reasons that you think it's hot, Rob?
I'm not gonna say that I expect that many people are gonna buy one frame and then like a new fork and maybe a new wheel and a new shock and link and do a full bike transformation. But just in case, say you spend for a top dollar bike and then you move to a different area, or you have like, say the long travel one and you're going on a like super long ride, like multi-day stage race or something where you want something a little bit more efficient and shorter travel. I love the possibilities that that offers with the modularity when you can fully transform the character of the bike. Um, but I also love it from a perspective of the manufacturer, being able to reduce the number of molds you need to open, being able to, yeah, just in general reduce the overall unit price of the bike, hopefully in the long run, and still be able to achieve 99% of the performance. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think it's from, I think the business side too, I can hope that maybe this lowers investment from bike brands, which then brings pricing down for consumers because now they're not making an enduro mold and a trail mold. I mean, yeah, you have different links and whatnot, but like that fuel is just such a unique bike in sense of how much you can adjust it. And even if you're not adjusting it often, like for me on my Stumpy, I've left it in the middle headset cup and low since I got the bike because that's what I did testing. I liked it, left it there, totally good to go. But like, oh, we have this thing coming up where I'm going to take that bike to Tucson. I'm going to go steep and high because like that terrain actually would probably benefit from that. So being able to, even on a bike that came out, 6 years ago, having that sort of adjustability, I think kind of set the trend in motion for like this mass adjustment that we're seeing, whether it be the Rallon from enduro to downhill or the fuel that's trail bike to enduro bike, right? I think it's really cool and it only is an advantage to consumers. Like Rob said, even if you're not going to go buy a new fork, you still have the option to set it up how you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to know, and maybe this is something that we should focus on for like a year from today's survey that we do, like an annual reader survey. It would be really cool to just find out, because I imagine a lot of people are owning a Stumpy, a Trek Fuel, or an Orbe Rayon. And it would be really neat to know how many of them own a different shock, fork, and or wheel set to change that bike out, and how often they've done that. Like if it's something that like we find out 75% of people are like, I've never touched it. And I don't know, I would say if 25% of people own a different link, shock and fork, I would be pretty surprised. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
I don't think there's any way it's more than 10%, and
yeah,
even 10%, I'd be like, actually, that's higher than it could be.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I am fully on board with the trend, optimistically. Like I do hope that like globally, right, from molds to shipping to warehouse space, obviously fewer products is better, for the world, but financially, I would hope that yes, less molds, less storage space, less big shipping boxes. That also will mean that prices of bikes can come down, which is a trend that I have noticed, and one I would mention, which is discounted bike pricing.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
don't know. Don't know if it's hot or not. I don't know if it's a needs must. Brands are just like they have no choice but to drop the prices to clear stock, even though we're talking about new bikes coming with reduced price tags in some instances. Yeah, talking about finances in the bike industry right now is definitely an interesting topic, I think, and yeah, definitely something that needs more time spent diving into it.
One aspect too to think about outside of like, oh, you see on specialized.com or YT or whoever brand that sells direct to consumer, you see those discounts, like as a consumer, you're like, sweet, like I can get 40% off this bike. I've kind of been waiting like 2 years to do this. On my side, having worked with my local bike shop doing media work for them, filming, helping them get photos and stuff like that, they had to stop because they're selling bikes at their cost. So they may have done $100,000 in revenue last month, but they did that at a net loss.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I think is really hurting these core shops. Like pretty much the biggest bike shop in our area, they had 3 locations, they pared down to 2, and they're basically like, we're essentially operating at a loss, even though we're doing relatively good revenue,
Right.
there's zero
Margin.
there's zero margin in it for them, and that's what sucks to see is these businesses that are heavily invested in our community not reaping the benefits that they should because of mismanagement on bigger business side.
It is a bummer for sure. And yeah, and that's, I mean, you know, we can talk about a whole lot of factors and things that have happened, right? But yeah, ultimately there was some mismanagement and there was some greed and there was some over ordering and, you know, bullying that took place. And I think that resulted in like people trying to make grabs when the market was hot. And then that resulted in a lot of brands having a massive oversupply of product. And then when product starts to slow down and not sell and you need to get, you know, inventory cleared out and you're spending, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars storing product because you don't have enough storage space in your own facility, right? And you're having to like buy shipping containers or pay for outside storage like that. All of a sudden that it eats into your operating expenses, the big, you know, the bike business. And it's, you know, it's a trickle effect, right? And it's not just one brand that did it. And it's, you know, I mean, there's everything from smaller supplier brands, right? Whether that's drivetrains or brakes or tires. And it's like, hey, you placed this order, you need to take it. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, we're not selling the bikes. We can't use all these drivetrains or we can't use all these tires. And it's like, you paid for it, you ordered it, you got to take it, you know? And then all these brands are all of a sudden sitting on, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of tires that are now like really like they're 3-year-old tires, but like they're like, we're not moving the product fast enough to get through it all. So it's, I don't know, man. It's wild and it's a tough and trying time. And like, I know there are people out there rejoicing over it. Right. And they think that the bike industry is, you know, evil or like greedy and they're making and selling money. And I'm not saying that they're not, I'm not saying that they are, right? But like, it is a bummer when to see people that you know, people that you've been friends with, and some that you don't know, right? Like we're all in this bike industry, right? Because we love bikes, we love riding and the community of it. Like, I think pretty much everyone knows that you don't get in the bike industry to get rich. And you know, there's very few people that are very, very rich in the bike industry. And so like to see people rejoicing while like, you know, people that are making like $50, $60, $70,000 a year, maybe like
Barely
losing
making
their
ends meet,
job,
yeah.
that are working their asses off, that are traveling around the world, like nonstop trying to make bikes cool. That's a bummer, man. And it's hard. On the flip side, I'm a consumer too, right? Like I got to go to the grocery store and it's $7 for milk and $7 for eggs. And it's like, I get it, right? So like, yeah, do I want a $10,000 bike to be $5,000? Absolutely, right? So I don't know, man, getting into a whole wormhole of topics, it's like, is less competition in the bike industry better? Like, will that bring prices down or will it monopolize it as there's fewer brands that are left? I don't know. I feel like there were so many brands and so many options that like, you know, and I don't just mean options in terms of like different bike brands, which there are, but also like travel categories, you know, like prime example, like Trek, right? Like if you go from like Top Fuel to Session, how many mountain bikes are in between that? And ultimately it's like, I just want a mountain bike. Do you need 10?
I'd imagine that Trek are probably aware of that already, and the modularity is a hint of things to come,
Sure.
where you'll
Yeah.
start seeing less like distinct models offered and just more adjustment within those models to make them your own.
Yeah.
Drew, you've been around a little bit longer than Cole and I.
Yeah, I know, I'm old.
Has the bike industry during your time following it, has it had so much of a surge in participation before as it did during COVID? Actually,
Not that I have ever seen. No.
so it's safe to say that the fairly infantile bike industry just doesn't or didn't know what the curve would look like. We had all these new people coming into the sport. We had all these people going out and buying bikes during the pandemic. But then there was obviously going to be the inevitable drop afterwards. But I think forecasting was just always going to be impossible for people. This is the first time that we've experienced such an uptick. Therefore, every brand's going to want to capitalize on that uptick as much as they can to get themselves into the strongest business position and make sure they survive when things are really good. But now we're the other
Well,
side of it.
so not every brand, and that is something that I think is unfortunate. There were and are many brands who played it safe. They didn't over order. They didn't try to say we're going to capitalize. If I could try to liken this to another industry or scenario, right? It's like when there's a construction boom, and Rob, you may not quite get this one, but apply it to the UK as you see fit. Construction dudes here go out and buy a big, massive new dually monster truck. Then they go out and buy a new $100,000 boat. Then they go buy a lake house because they're like, dude, this is amazing. The construction industry is booming. It's never going to end. And what happens? Construction falls on its face, and now these dudes are over leveraged. They got a boat, they got a new truck, they bought a motorhome, they got a lake house, and all of a sudden there's no more construction work. And they're like, what do I do, right? Not everyone did that. Some guys were like, I'm going to keep trucking along. I'm going to be safe because I know that this is going to end. This gravy train can't go on forever. And there were bike brands who said that. They're like, this is not normal. This can't last. We're going to stay safe. We're going to do our normal projections. If we can get a couple extra thousand bikes or a couple extra thousand tires, let's do it. But let's not get crazy. The bummer is that those brands now are paying the price just like the others, because while those brands didn't overextend themselves, they're now in a spot where like, man, we played it safe and we tried to do the right thing, but now we're not selling our bike at MSRP because all these other brands didn't do that and they're fire sailing their product. So now who's going to go pay full price for our XYZ bike when they can go buy the ABC bike for 40% off? So now they are also suffering at operating at reduced margins because otherwise their bikes aren't going to sell. And yeah, that's a tough one, and that's something that I've talked to a lot of people about, right, at certain brands who did try to make those conscious efforts to be like, this isn't normal, this isn't going to last. But like, to that point, from what I've heard and studies that I've done by people by bikes and some of the others, it's like, if you look at, 2017, ish, 2018, like kind of that pre-COVID stopping point to like post-COVID point, the net growth of ridership has increased, right? Like there is this big Bitcoin spike, so to speak. But like if you were to like delete that anomaly and just go point to point of like 17 to 24, it still is a growth in ridership. And that's good news. As a business owner who's dealing with reduced budgets, increased cost of, operating a business, like inflation, the fact that people are riding bikes is kind of like the thing that I'm trying to hold on to. Is like, you talk to tire brands, right? You talk to brands that are selling knee pads, shoes, helmets. Those companies are doing well. They're selling product. That means people are riding bikes and they're wearing out product. Events, right? Festivals, those are selling out. People are turning up and riding bikes. So maybe they're not spending $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 buying bikes every year. Instead, they're going and experiencing festivals, traveling to ride bikes, upgrading the bikes that they currently own. So I don't know, that's to me is the light at the end of the tunnel. If everyone from tire and shoe and, helmet companies were like, we're not selling stuff either, and bike brands were saying we're not selling stuff, and festivals and like weekend mountain bike events are like, no one's showing up, then that would be a really big problem, and a big indicator that like mountain biking's in a bad spot. But yeah, I don't know.
So what you're saying is business opportunity is still out there for us to put on another Wolves in the Wild.
Wolves in the Wild is back for 2026. It is happening. This, I guess, I wasn't planning on unveiling it, but here we are. So get ready, everybody. If you want to come to a Wolves in the Wild event, reach out, send us an email. Stay tuned. But it's happening next year. Might even do some other little micro lone wolf field trips to some cool destinations and put on like some smaller, like, 10 to 15 people group rides, and potentially bring out some pro riders to come with us for skills clinics and all that. So, yeah, reach out if you are interested in any of those opportunities, because they're happening.
So I've got a little more lighthearted hot or not than our last topic. Electric mini pumps.
Oh boy,
Hot or not?
they
Meh? Really? Okay. Yeah.
they're neat. I keep one in my pack now. I do keep one in my pack.
So hot.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
I've been waiting for you to give me one. I've been asking for months and months, so I don't have one, but like I love the idea. I also see it from like you're at the trailhead, you have stuff in the truck, you can keep an electric mini pump in your center console, so you're not bringing a big bike pump with you. So when you get to the trailhead, you're like, oh, like I haven't rode in 2 weeks, need to pump my tire up.
But they're all so loud and annoying.
Have you heard my truck? How loud it is? I don't think another
At least
10
that's
decibels.
kind of a cool noise, not just like a.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you're riding with it on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
I've had it where I come back from a ride and I'm like chilling in the parking lot with some friends, and then some ass comes and sticks on their mini pump. We're trying to have a conversation. Like, shut up. I don't know. I think just get a track pump, have that. It'll last you forever. No battery to charge, and you can probably set a tubeless tire with it rather than, hoping and dreaming.
A little hand pump, you can set a tubeless
No, a
tire?
track pump to have in
what?
to have in your truck.
That's what they call a floor
A
pump.
track pump?
Yeah, it's like trackside, I guess.
Oh,
Like a floor pump.
Yeah.
We call them floor pumps here.
Because it sits on the floor.
But you can't put that in your fanny pack.
Nope.
Cole probably could put it in his fanny pack, but
Not a fanny pack. So hydration vest.
okay.
But with that said, it also is reducing waste and not dealing with CO2s, and that's the aspect that I like about.
With your lithium battery.
I'm on board.
It's a thing. It's there.
They're such small lithium batteries. All right, I only have 2 left on my list. How about you guys?
I think
we saw it happen last year. We never really talked about it. I think maybe just because we were trying to ensure that it got as little coverage as possible so that it died as quickly as possible. But Gloggles. Remember those?
I love the ones that I gave him.
There's
Certain people like Ty, best buddy, riding buddy. He just like has this crazy issue with fogging.
Okay.
I don't know if it's face shape and how goggles and glasses sit on him, doesn't breathe. He likes the goggles because they don't fog up for him.
Did he find that the gloggle is less prone to fogging than a glass is? Or?
He has, yes. And I don't know if that's, again, it's face
there is
shape.
more airflow.
There's more airflow, yeah.
Like glasses sit pretty close. Yeah. I fog glasses up for sure.
I don't have an issue with that. So
yeah.
You need better glasses.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I do wear not performance glasses because
driving
because
glasses.
you're cool like that.
Fashion over function, guys.
The goggles for me is sort of like when you look back at downhill racing and how Lycra came in for a short period of time, and then everyone killed that as soon as they could, just to protect like the overall visual of the sport. I feel like goggles need the same treatment.
Goggles don't hurt me the way they hurt you, I guess, Rob. I don't think they look cool. I don't think they look cool. So they're not hot. From a functionality standpoint, I do like them.
I mean, yeah, if you're talking like a trail face.
Yeah, but I don't wear them. Yeah. But
it's maybe just the implementation. I actually do quite like the overall concept. It's just neither of the sets that I've used have like filled me with joy, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. Well, something that does not fill me with joy is Headset
I was
cable,
gonna say.
headset cable routing.
Why is that?
Why is that? Well, because it is a pain in the butt to work on.
But when have you ever worked on a bike?
Never, never. But when I give it to mechanics, they always tell me what a pain in the butt it is. No, I mean, it's whether it's swapping forks or needing to do a brake replacement. If we're well, you can't like with some, I guess swapping out a stem and bars can be problematic, and maybe that moves more into like the integrated, bar cable routing situation, not just exclusively headset cable routing. But I guess more importantly, I don't see a net like a benefit to it being there. Like, does it make the bike look cooler? I guess so. Does it make it look cool enough to where,
Just a little bit.
like, there's a lot of others. A paint job would make a bike look cooler to me than headset cable routing, and a lot of paint jobs are just so boring and plain and suck that, like, I would rather deal with externally routed cables at that point and have a cooler paint job. You know what I mean? Like, I've had little tiny rocks fly in there and create horrendous like cracking, grinding sounds, like because they got the holes, that are open, which is crazy to think, like it's so small. But sure enough, I've pulled a dust cap off and seen a little bright red cinder rock in there that wasn't in the shop, so it got in there during a ride. So I don't see any performance benefit for it at all. There's only performance detriments, and then there's serviceability detriments. So to me, there's no reason for it in mountain biking.
Yeah, I agree. I don't love it at all. I do slightly prefer the visual aspect of it, but even thinking about, say, e-bike shootout when we're swapping brake hoses over from side to side.
I mean,
Some
that's
of
just
the-
because of you.
That is just because of me. That is a very me problem. But some of the systems don't even have enough hose left to let you swap them over successfully, which is a pain in the ass. But I don't think it dramatically changes the ride experience to the point that I would not buy a bike that had it for me.
Yeah, I don't
What?
know that it would stop me from buying a bike either.
But something that I would like, none of the systems that I've tried that I would run on my own bike would be an integrated bar stem combo.
Correct. Yeah, fully agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not ridden one that I've got on and thought this wouldn't be improved by a separate stem and one of our favorite bars.
Which, to be fair, referencing your goggle thing, I think we killed that one as fast as it came in.
Integrated bars?
Yeah.
They're still out there. They're still coming.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're not infiltrating the bike space.
Sure.
Bontrager came out with them within 1 year, maybe two. I know we heavily criticize them. They're gone. Giant had some. I think they're pulling back the number of bikes.
Yes, there's bikes coming out that do have them though.
Yeah. I think in maybe like Ultra XC applications, it could be a spot, but
Yeah, when you're hunting grams,
yeah.
they make sense. They are more structurally efficient.
Yeah.
But if you're
no,
favoring any sort of adjustment and performance, then
Yeah. No. Hard pass on those.
Okay.
I got one. I've noticed more new aluminum wheels this year from new brands, and then refreshes on old wheels from other brands as well.
Yes.
And affordable, like pretty fair pricing for a lifetime warranty aluminum wheel set at not insane weights either.
do you have any standout examples?
I think like the Tenant wheels that pretty recently released. We haven't gotten any in yet, but I think they were like sub $800 with a 1-to-1 hub, lifetime warranty. It's a small brand, cool vibes, I guess. People behind it are cool, awesome. Their other products have stood the test of time, so there's no reason their wheels shouldn't. Kind of stuff like that, and the new Crank Brothers wheels, TT, like all of the above. I just kind of remember seeing and hearing more new carbon wheels in the past than aluminum wheels.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, for me, that's an easy one to say and get behind as a hot trend because one, I love affordability. Two, I love alloy, whether that's a frame or a wheel set. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I'll go hot as well. I'm absolutely fine pedaling or just ripping on an alloy wheel set. There are some benefits to carbon, or at least some differences that are appreciated in certain scenarios, but it's not all net good. And the extra weight and potentially the extra fragility of a carbon fiber rim isn't awesome.
See, that's the one area that I have a hard time getting behind because for every 20 aluminum wheels I break, I might break one carbon wheel. I've had one issue with a carbon wheel, and it was very much a manufacturer defect. For the how many other aluminum wheels I've cracked or flat spotted to the point of not being repairable.
How much of that comes from running lower tire pressure because you can get away with it on an alloy wheel?
I would say unless a gauge was wrong, by no purposeful, meaningful reason running lower pressure.
Okay, because I'll pretty much as a rule go up by 2 or 3 psi each end if I'm running carbon rims. Just because I've been burned by breaking carbon rims in the past, and I guess I'm still scarred from it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about like how many shootouts I've been through and how many flat spots I've put in between all the, different bikes and personal bikes at home. And there is one section of trail that I ride that is claimed a very big handful of wheels. So there's maybe that. But I think for me, I've had better success with carbon, but I love the idea of aluminum and the affordability behind it.
I have dented the crap out of aluminum rims. I've never broken one, at least not that I can remember. But yeah, I've definitely folded some over to where I'm like, I hope this thing will still hold a beat after I straighten it out. But I've probably broken 4 carbon wheels. Probably half of those there was a manufacturing issue. But yeah, I don't know. I'm okay either way. Like, I think both have their pros to them. And again, at the amount of money I have to spend on things, I want to maximize performance to price.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to spend more money if I don't have to. I love riding really nice, expensive stuff because we get given it, right, in our position. But yeah, if I was spending money, then I'd for sure be looking at maximizing value, bang for the buck.
What? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Wait on what?
Weight on frames. I mean, it's part of a modularity thing. It is something that I would say we'd be remiss to not mention that this year. It's not something groundbreakingly new. People have been doing it for a long time, but it has very much, like, I would say, before this year, I never saw someone at my local trails with weights on their bike.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 this year. I was like, oh, cool. Like, what do you think about it? And having finally had experience when we did that and dissected on the Rallon, it was like, whoa, it does make a difference. This is very cool.
Yes. I'm a fan, hot,
Yeah.
for sure. I would love to see more brands. Like Orbea has done a great job making that an easy swap. Like there's, like we talked about, like there's like those diving weights, that you can strap onto a bike, it gets the job done. But it would be awesome to see more gravity-focused bikes, maybe 160 travel and up, have ways to add weight to bikes easily. And like, some people may hate to hear it, but a lot of that is coming from e-bikes. And I know that as a fact, right? And like a lot of pro World Cup downhill racers, when they're not actively training on their DH bikes, they're only riding their e-bikes. And when they tell, their teams, their product designers, whoever, right, at the brands, they're like, I love how my e-bike brakes and stays on the ground. I love how smooth and supple the suspension feels. Before long, it's just like, how do I make my downhill bike feel more like my e-bike in these scenarios. And it's like, well, it's heavier. So then they start adding weight, and now we're here, right?
Yeah.
So you can thank e-bikes for it, e-bike haters, that getting heavier bikes with weight down low to really improve suspension, braking, and cornering traction has in a large part come from downhill racers loving and riding their e-bikes all the time.
It was so notable the first few times that I rode e-bikes. I was like, wow, I never thought like even a downhill bike was unstable. But now that I'm on this thing, like, yeah, the downhill bike that I rode the other week is kind of unstable and skittish in comparison.
Yeah, it's wild.
Definitely cool to see. Definitely, I would say hot if it's easy to implement, and hot that some brands are starting to adopt it.
Yeah, for
At
sure.
least giving you the option to adopt it
Yep.
as a consumer.
Yep.
We've not talked about something that happened this year, quite notably. I guess we talked about it during our e-bike shootout, but e-bikes got very powerful all of a sudden, or saw another trend in upwards of the power. What do we think about that?
Man, I this is a tough one, really. Especially because, like, I would say that, you know, to e-bike haters or people that are not, you know, fully on board, it'll probably sound semi-hypocritical and be like, well, you know, you guys love e-bikes. I'm starting to wonder when is too far, and you know, how much is too much. And to me, I would say we're at that point. In my personal opinion, that's not to say I wouldn't have fun if all of a sudden bikes had, you know, 1,500 watts or whatever. But like at the end of the day, I'm a mountain biker first, and I love riding e-bikes because they let me get more downhill laps in. They let me go farther and get rides in with my limited time available. When stuff gets too artificial, too fast, too powerful, at least for the ride experience that I'm craving, I still want a workout. I still want to pedal and feel like I'm mountain biking, just maybe mountain biking like faster. And if stuff really just keeps going up and up in power, I just feel like I'm going to be detuning bikes, and I don't know, man. I'm like not even getting into like trail user conflicts of like now guys are going even faster up hills and climbing stuff that they shouldn't be climbing up. Like I'm not even getting into that whole topic, but just from like a user experience, I think we're at that cusp of like any more power is not going to be what I want. And then you combine that with the fact that batteries will have to get bigger, unless they get smarter, right? They're going to have to get bigger, which means they're getting heavier, which detracts from downhill performance, playfulness, natural mountain bikey kind of a feel. And like, yeah, I mean, to summarize it, like a year and a half ago, you know, a lot of brands were asking me like, hey, we're working on a new SL or a new mid-power e-bike. What do you think about this category? What are people saying? And I was like, the category is going to be dead in 2 years, in my opinion. Like, I think full power e-bikes are going to get lighter. And once a full power bike hits 45 pounds, why would you buy a mid-power bike with a way smaller battery that's 43 pounds, you know? And they're like, okay, interesting, you know? And then the new the new Specialized Levo came out, right? And like the S-Works, which should be like one of the lightest e-bikes, and it got heavier by pounds. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I was waiting for these things to come down. And like, all of a sudden now you're going back up over the 50s. And I was like, this is not the way I want things to go. And then now we see at our SL shootout, we've got, you know, bikes like the TQ and Bosch and the others, like they got a power increase up to 60, and you've got a 580 battery. And I'm like, man, I thought this category was dead, but now all of a sudden this might be the category I want for my own personal bike. So yeah, I would say I am not in on the power race. I understand why it's attractive and it's luring because Avinox kind of, you know, set the world on fire, and that could burn everything up. But
the power race is okay if you have a wide variety of tunability. And so you can say, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to tune it down to that pre-update. Or it's like, I have 45 minutes. I want to get 2 laps on my 1,600-foot road climb. Give me all the juice.
yeah.
So it's cool to have the option. And I think I'm in your case of like, I don't really need it. And I think, like you mentioned, the SL shootout, you ride 12 or 13 different SL bikes for 10 days. You're like, e-bikes are great. Like you never once was tired. If we were doing a enduro bike shootout, I can tell you I would have bonked by day 2 with how much riding we did. And then you go back to a full power, you're like, whoa, like, yeah, there's a lot more power. I can get up that vertical climb shoot way quicker and easier. But like, it's not like a crazy amount more.
Yeah.
And I think if you're just sticking in one silo, you're going to be very happy regardless.
It's
Robert?
such an interesting one for me. I am so thankful, first and foremost, that the SL bikes this year did get that little bump up in general, because the 50 Newton meter 300-watt bikes.
We have
Okay,
technical
how
difficulties.
do we deal with this?
Well, when I got up earlier, it said I had 30% battery. So, folks, as this is one of our first little episodes, I did not have enough time to buy a dummy battery, so we were running off camera battery. So we can get officially 1 hour and 5 minutes of time on one battery. So hopefully, you can
Do we do a cut and then resume?
All right. Are we recording now?
We are recording. We are
Okay.
back, folks. Sorry, technical difficulties. This is our first time doing this. We've never operated cameras or microphones before. Rob,
Yeah,
what were you
clearly.
talking about?
On my perfectly functioning setup, at least I hope so, I was talking about how I'm so thankful that SL e-bikes got the little power boost that they did this past year or two. The 50 Newton meter systems, the 300 watt or so output, just put me feeling like I had a massive disadvantage when I was riding with riders in your kind of weight category. So like 220 pounds versus that like 170 to 190 pound rider seemed to make a huge jump where I'd consider myself not necessarily more fit than you, but at least able to keep up with you if we both went out on enduro bikes. And I just felt like I had to work so hard to match people who were not trying that hard, like Sour Patch just soft pedaling away from me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, that is not fair. So I think at some point there is just like the relationship between how much you're putting in and how much the motor's producing does really drop off, and it felt like that maybe the 50 to the 60 Newton meter jump made that difference to the point that I feel a little bit more of an even playing field and have a lot more fun on SLE bikes. They make a lot more sense to me now with that like 350, 400 watt or more power.
Yeah, for me, the TQ with the 580 is like, if I were buying an e-bike, like I always said, like I was like, I'm a full power guy, like I'm just on board. But man, I really think I would be leaning towards a 580 TQ bike at this point in my life. Like the range is there, power's there to get me where I want to go, but I have more fun on the descents. Like they're just a little bit more lively and playful and a little lighter. So yeah,
I feel like you only get the benefits to the handling almost that the extra weight provides with the SLs, but then you add on the extra weight to go to a full power and you start getting the drawbacks as well. Would you say that's quite fair?
I would agree. Yeah, you're kind of in that sweet spot zone of like, you can still play and tweak and move the bike around, but you still get the smoother suspension, you get the good traction, you get the cornering confidence that like that extra little bit of weight brings. So yeah, I'm overall not a fan of the horsepower or Newton meter race, we'll call it.
What's your weight limit for full power?
I mean, I don't have a weight limit if the bike rides well. Well, as a tester, I can say that a 55-pound bike rides great, right? Like the Stump Jumper Levo alloy. I think that thing's 56 maybe. Bike ride's insane. It's awesome. I love it. It is fun. Would I buy that bike at 56 pounds? No way.
Whoa.
But like, it doesn't like inhibit me when I'm riding. Like I can still yank for gaps. I can still make jumps. I can still do the stuff I want to do. But, you know, as a consumer, I would say anything over 52 pounds that'd be a hard ask.
Yeah.
Unless the performance was really, really awesome. But, you know, in a dream world, I would like a full power bike to be in the 47 pound range.
That's not far off though, with an 800.
Yeah.
Because what is the Crestline, the DJI Crestline bike's pretty, I think it's 48 maybe.
Yeah.
With the 800.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of an anomaly at this point. So.
Did we lose Rob?
Might have. So we will get, let's see here. My last one that I have is inverted forks. And hopefully Rob will join us. Look at that. He was talking about his perfectly
I don't know if he
tuned in
can if
setup.
we're recording, if he can come back. Oh, this is fun.
Look at us. We're just gonna have to cut this episode short and get rid of all the failures.
I'll just text him, see if he can get back in. Are we live again?
I think we're back.
How many of these episodes do you think it'll take for us to get through on without any technical issues? 2?
I mean, I feel like an act of God. So my power just dropped out, and I don't have any sophisticated backup power systems around here right now. So I feel like acts of God should be excused. Camera's running out of battery, maybe a little bit less so cool.
Hey. Okay, well, moving on. E-bikes, we've covered it. Drew, you had one more thing.
I did. My last one, inverted forks.
We've seen more of them. The podium feels really good. Is it all positive and better for e-bikes? Maybe. For non-e-bikes, the extra 300 or so grams of front end weight. Maybe. I like them.
You like it?
I like them. They've like the podiums. If we're focusing on the podiums, I haven't ridden the push. I'd really like to ride the push. I haven't ridden any of the alternatives since a Dorado dual crown like 10 years ago almost.
Yeah. So then, as a whole, are you interested? Like, what if RockShox was toying with, like, if they conducted a poll and said, should we make an inverted fork? Would you say yes or no?
Yeah, go for it. See what you're gonna do.
Okay. And if a brand was saying, hey, we have this bike, we're going to send you out for a review. It's got a 38 or a podium on it. Which model would you like to test? What would you pick?
Price not a factor. I'd choose the podium.
They're asking which bike you would like to review and ride.
Well, I try when I'm choosing review bikes not to choose a super flashy model, just because it's very unlikely that's ever going to be the bike that I actually buy. And yeah, I just feel like there's the point of diminishing the returns that you go above. So I'd still consider asking for the 38 fork and, you know, maybe it's XT instead of XTR kind of tier wise bike. So I don't know, but if it's like you've got this dream riding trip coming up, do you want the podium or the 38 on the front of your bike for it? I'm probably going to take the podium.
Okay. Cole, how about you?
I mean, if you're giving me only the option of podium or 38
or Zeb or anything else,
I think this, for me and my hand feel and what I look for in a fork, the Zeb is a superior fork.
Okay.
I maybe don't struggle with a lot of the same things that certain people criticize that fork with, just because I ride a little heavier and like my weight's not heavy, but I like, as Drew likes to put it out, I open my wings and press into the ground when I land, and so like I get full travel on that fork all the time, even over sprung. I think the weight penalty is something that really holds me back from like wanting to like have that on more bikes. I think on e-bikes I probably wouldn't care as much as long as the bike doesn't have a front weighted feel to begin with.
Mhm.
So something like, I think it was the E-Troy. For me, it was like a very front heavy bike, and I struggled to lift the front. Definitely not adding weight on that. Something like that Crestline that I loved so much this year. I think it'd be fine. I don't think I'd notice that much of a difference on it.
Okay. All right. So
See, like the
you're-
crest line with the podium would look sick.
Dude, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, it could be cool.
Yeah. But also pretty sick with the Zeb, how it was. I'm like not mad about it at all. And
Slight consideration within that, though, is that the podium only goes up to 170.
sure.
True that.
True.
So,
Yeah.
have you ridden any inverteds yet? Or have you ridden the podium yet?
Very briefly. Not enough faff time to like
Okay.
actually know the fork and be like, whereas Rob went to the camp. And
So
just had
that
some bikes
could
on it.
potentially be a reason why you're not as
Sure.
hot on it,
Sure.
perhaps.
Yeah. I think the podium is closer to the Zeb feel
Okay.
than the 38.
How about as a concept visually? Like, is it like, would you like to see more brands get?
No.
Okay.
Mud guards, like, good God, is it so ugly? Like that alone, like I think it's Win that's been doing a bunch of content lately, riding over by you, Rob, and like every time I see that bike, it's just like makes me sick to my stomach, to be honest. It's so bad. It is like, for me, that is like one of the most hideous things to look at.
Okay. Okay.
Knowing that's a funny one for me because I agree that from a purely visual, like if you had it in a studio and you were taking these beautiful shots of it, having the podium with that mudguard on it is not good. But the connotations of having the podium with that mudguard for the riding around me at the moment, I almost love the look of it. Like if there's going to be a bike, it's going to have some like shredders on it. It's going to have the podium on it, which has given me more front end traction than anything else. And you need a mudguard because, dear God, is it muddy around here right now. So, yeah, I don't think from an artistic point of view, the podium with the mudguard is good in any way. But from like, I'm going to hop on that bike and go and get out and ride, I actually really like the look of it. It makes me want to grab that bike and go ride it. And did you see how good Win was riding it in his latest clip? Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, it's great.
Go look at Win's Instagram. He like does this off camber slide for so long and it's just beautiful.
I still can't get over the look. It's not going to do it for me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm hot on it. I like inverted forks.
Okay. So to wrap up our way over time that we were already going, one thing that we have not prepared for next year, Rob, what is one hot thing you want to see and one not you want to see go away?
Oh, on the spot, Cole. Hot thing that I would like to see is bike brands doing better. I don't want to see any brands going into administration or anything like that. I just want everyone to be happy and to have just a chill year where everyone's just like, oh yeah, like I want to buy that bike because I like the look of it. And yeah, they're still going to be around and give me warranty support. One thing I want to see go away is bike brands dying. I'd like to see bike prices stabilize and less sales and just a general trend into RRPs getting lower, for sure.
Yeah.
Cole?
I think I'd like to see something continue to grow, being seat tube angles and dropper post insertion depths. So as someone that's a very long-legged rider, being able to run a post that actually works for me climbing and not having to adjust it every lap is pretty sweet. It's something that I've always dealt with and it would be nice to not deal with anymore. And there's certain bikes out there that are doing great. And I'd like to see more brands continue to implement at least, if not steeper angles, because that's a personal, really like, our seat posts are so tall, but having enough insertion depth to run a big post. And then one thing I'd like to see go away is not necessarily product related, but I would say user group conflicts. So like in my area, there's a lot of e-moto riders that are on trails, specifically riding up very sketchy high-speed trails with blind corners. And when you approach these user groups, they're like, "Oh, it's not a motorcycle," and it's like, "Okay, I get it. Like, if I was 16 and I had one of those too, I'd probably be doing the same thing, but like maybe build your own trails or be a part of the organization." Like, recently got into a soft conflict, I'd say, is like, hey, if you guys want to start a user group to get Surons and e-motos allowed at our trails, I'm the first one there, and I'm helping you because I would love to ride dirt bikes at our local trails. But there has to be the balance of work parties to maintain those trails and the safety of it. So I think less conflict and more, I guess, if you want to lack of a better term, inclusiveness of all user groups getting together for the betterment of getting outside.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. What you what you don't want to see was kind of what my would like to see next year is I would like to see the bike world do better as a whole, both from a business standpoint, stability, but also I would like to see user groups be better and more accepting of like not hating each other because they ride a different travel category or an E or a whatever.
Maybe
like,
I phrased mine wrong or
no,
something.
no, no.
But, okay.
You phrased it absolutely, but
Okay.
but that's what you like. Like what you were saying is like you don't want to see this type of conflict, and what I do want to see is an improvement.
Got it. Okay.
Of people.
Yeah,
so it's like the same thing.
Yeah,
just I was seeing it from like the optimistic side of like I would like to see us do better as a whole. And I would just I would like to see the bike world get better. I want businesses to do well. I want consumers to not feel like they're getting taken advantage of or getting ripped off. I want people out on trails to be happy and having fun, right? I mean, we're ultimately like, we're all outside and like, yes, exercising is a goal. Yes, like getting better at your skill is a goal, but like primarily we're out there for like mental health, escape, feeling better, being happy, and like bringing your negativity and like bitterness and anger because this person's wearing that brand clothing or you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, dude, like let's just all be outside and have fun and like be happy, right? Be polite and respectful. And like, I would be stoked if we could all just be in a good, happy, healthy spot. Not to sound all, hippie and whatever, but like, man, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You know what I mean? Like it's real easy to just be nice and try to help support local businesses, local bike shops, local trail advocacy groups. If we do good at being local, it spreads to being global. What I would like to see go next year, besides headset cable routing, is I think probably along the lines also with Robert is like I would like to see brands like struggling. I would like to not see any more brands go away or like having to like blow stuff out on sales to where they're operating at net losses. It's kind of like the supporting argument to like what I do want to see is like I would like to see things get to a safe, happy, normal spot and for us to be like less panicked. Like I feel like the bike industry, since I've been around, everyone has been overworked and underpaid. Like that's like been like the like tagline for everyone in the bike world. Like we're doing the job of 3 different people, but we don't have the budget to hire more. So it's like all these employees are just getting churned and burned and it's a bummer. So it would be nice if people like on top of feeling overworked and underpaid weren't also like, I also just hope I have a job next week.
Yeah.
That would be really nice if there's a little more security and stability. But ultimately, like, we made a job out of a hobby industry and a recreational sport that is
Toys.
A discretionary spend in people's lives, So ultimately, like, I don't think we're looking for pity, but like, it would just optimistically, it would be nice if we could continue doing this because I think most people in this world are here because they genuinely care about bikes. Bikes have shaped or formed their life in some sort of a way, and they would like to spread that stoke and bring it to other people. So, yeah, that's that.
Cool. That's that.
Speaking of spreading the stoke, this has been the first stab at putting together some kind of podcasty thing, right? What are our plans? What should we share with people that we've got coming up?
Robert, you know I don't have plans, dude. I just get
Our battery. I didn't even have time to buy a dummy battery for the camera, even though we've been asking for how many years to do this?
Yeah, dude. I just come up with crazy bad ideas all the time and annoy most of you guys, and then never.
Well, should then we open the discussion up for people to suggest what we might want to, what they might want to see?
We would love it. I would say yes. If you've got topics, questions, things that you would like us to include in this podcast and video series, fire away. Whether that's pro athletes, whether that's us talking more about industry stuff, or reaching out to brands. We've been doing this for quite a while and have a lot of relationships, which we're very thankful and fortunate to have. So, we would like to bring value to you, the viewers and listeners. We would like to be entertaining, educational, informational. So fire away, give us some topics, give us some guidance. We definitely have a whole list of ideas, and we're going to start creating these episodes. But of course, episodes that you would find exciting and entertaining would be incredibly useful to us, so that we can start reaching out to those people and making those topics happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
and are we in a position to share also the discussion that we had about potential member inclusion?
Why not? Share it, and then we make it happen later, right?
We have to.
Yeah. Well, if you're a part of our members area, then we are potentially going to open up the podcast to have a section where we invite you to basically hit us with anything that you want to hear, and to drive the podcast in your direction for a segment. So if that's something that you're interested in as one of our existing members, then hit us up and we'll try get you included. And if you're not a member, then maybe this is the time to join.
Yeah, then we can afford to buy more batteries and not have our podcast go. But no, I think that'd be really cool, because we're admittedly out of touch, you could say, from a consumer's perspective. No matter how much we try to put ourselves in a consumer's shoes, there's stuff that we're out of touch on after so many years of not having to, own a bike for more than 1 year or even 6 months. So having people ask us questions live in real time, I think would be really fun and engaging. So we would love to have some guest hosts come in from that members platform. So go check it out. We also do a ton of giveaways there for readers' reviews, and some cool discount codes.
Tons of giveaways coming too.
Lots of giveaways coming.
Yeah.
We got a room full. So
yeah.
Thank you guys very much for being part of the Loam Wolf, and thanks for bearing with us here on episode number 1. They will get better. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.